Steve Robbins. I'm a Master's of Accounting candidate from Southern Utah University, and today I'm going to be discussing a major whistleblower over the past few years. And the person that I selected was Cynthia Cooper, who was the Vice President of Internal Audit at WorldCom. Cynthia was a mid-level manager who managed a team of 24 internal auditors and support staff, and she worked for WorldCom about 10 years before the whistleblowing incident occurred. And it all started with one of her staff members, Gene Morse, who was performing an audit and found an accounting entry for $500 million in computer expenses, which raised a red flag for him. And he immediately reported his findings to Cynthia, which raised a concern for her. So she went back and told Gene to investigate further, and which he did. And as he was investigating, he couldn't find any invoices or any backup information. So when he went back to Cynthia, that made her even more concerned. So she asked her entire team, including Gene, to be able to work late to investigate this issue, and which they did, so that they could maintain confidentiality and ensure that no managers or no one else could interfere with any of the documentation. So as her team would continue to investigate, they ended up finding $3.8 billion in misallocated expenses in fake accounting entries. So what I'm going to be discussing is actually what a whistleblower needs to do when they come across a scenario like this. And there are 7 steps. The first step is approach your immediate manager first. Cynthia couldn't do that because of a previous incident that involved a $400 million reserves entry. Her boss, who was Scott Sullivan, the CFO of the company, actually told her to not interfere and leave everything alone. So, of course, she didn't feel comfortable when she found these additional discrepancies. The second step is discuss the issue with your family. Cynthia's family knew that she was stressed and was upset about something at work and was going through something, but she did not discuss the situation with her family. The next step is step 3. And that's to take it to the next level, and that's exactly what Cynthia did. She went to the board of WorldCom's audit committee regarding the $400 million reserves issue initially, and then later on, when they found the $500 million discrepancy, which led to the $3.8 billion discrepancy, she brought that to the audit committee, stating that those transfers didn't comply with general accepted accounting principles. The next step is step 4, which is contact your company's ethics officer or ombudsman. Perhaps at that time, WorldCom did not have an ethics hotline or an ethics officer, and so Cynthia did not report any of these issues. And then the next step is step 5, which is consider going outside your chain of command. And that's exactly what she did. Because Cynthia didn't feel comfortable talking to her manager, the CFO, she went to the audit committee and reported the results. The next step is step 6, is go outside of the company. Initially, when Cynthia had discovered that $400 million reserve entry issue, she raised some questions with Arthur Anderson, who was the external auditor at the time. And what they said was they approved some of the accounting methods, and there was nothing else that she needed to worry about, and refused to comply with any of her inquiries. But later on, when she discovered the $500 million computer expense issue, as well as the $3.8 billion discrepancy, Max Bobbitt, who was the committee's head, the audit committee's head, actually told her to go to KPMG about the findings, who was their new external auditor. And the last step is step 7, which is leave the company. Many times whistleblowers have to, undergo pressure or harassment, and they end up leaving. But luckily, Cynthia didn't have to do that, and she continued to work at WorldCom's Clinton headquarters. So the results of this situation, because Cynthia had the courage to stand up, to maintain integrity, ethical standards, and professional accounting code of ethics, she was able to keep the public in mind and keep them safe from additional harmful accounting issues with WorldCom. And as a result, WorldCom filed for bankruptcy. Thousands of employees unfortunately were laid off, and the company was no longer to trade stock on the NASDAQ stock exchange. Scott Sullivan, Cynthia's boss, the former CFO, actually was indicted, and 4 other officers pleaded guilty. So I just want to commend Cynthia for her courage. I think she's a great example of what a whistleblower can do